All right, we're going to get started on 3.1 Jump Force. It's supposed to take us 90 minutes. We're going to try and do it in 15 or less. Here we go. Open up the prototype and change the background. First thing we're going to do is create a new project. So we're going to hit New Project. We're going to go to All Templates, hit 3D Core, and name it Prototype number 3. I'm going to put -3 because this is period 3 for today, but whatever. Boop. Magic is happening. While that's loading up, I'm going to download the starter files. They come through here. Click on this little Show Folder button. Pops out over here. I'm going to open this one up. Copy the file inside of the compressed folder. Actually, I'm going to cut it, and I'm going to just paste it onto the desktop. Paste. There it is. Now it's on the desktop. Desktop, desktop. Boom. Okay, at this point, we should have our project created, which we do. Let's get this thing organized right. Get it right. Get it right, Mr. Lyons. Okay. Next, we're going to import our assets. So we go to Import, Import Package, Custom Package. We're going to go over to the desktop. I'm going to click on our starter files and hit Open. Get this box with all these green checks. Hit Import. Boom, they are in. Okay, we've done that. Maybe. Let's go. It worked. Okay, so open the prototype 3 file scene. So we're going to double click on this one. And then we're going to delete the sample scene. So we right click on this one and choose delete. Hasta la vista. Cool. After that, we're going to select the background object in the hierarchy right here. Hierarchy, background object. And then we're going to go over to the sprite renderer. And if you want to, you can change the background to be a different background, like this. I'm going to go with the city myself. Cool. Actually, my game view or my scene view is actually on the back side. I'm going to move around to the front side. There we go. Switch over to the little hand. Boop. Zoom in a little bit. Cool. All right. That is it for step number 1. Step number 2 is choose and set up the player character. So we're going to come down here to characters. And since I got the town, I'm going to go with the town since it's town business. Okay, then we're going to drag in our guy. Actually, I'm just going to drag him up to the hierarchy. That way it'll put him in someplace reasonable. Actually, it put it at the origin, which is good. That's a common mistake kids do. They'll try to drag him in like that, and then he gets placed in some random position. Just drag him straight into the hierarchy. Rotate him to 90 degrees. Boop, boop. So he's facing to the right. Get it right, get it tight. Okay, and then he needs the rigid body component. And he needs the box collider. Cool, got those two. The last thing we're going to do on the box collider is we're going to make a little adjustment here. We're going to get zoomed in on him. So you can see this little green box around here. We're going to move that green box up 1.5. So it's in the middle of his body. And then we're going to make the size of it on the y-axis 3 so that it encompasses his entire self. So we can see all of his self. Can we see all of his self? Yes, we can. Cool. Moving on. Next, we're going to create a new scripts folder. So under assets, we're going to right click and choose create new folder. It's going to be called scripts. And inside of the scripts folder, we're going to create a script called player controller. Now, y'all saw me right there just press the space button. Don't ever press the space button, and don't try to rename this thing, because if you try to rename it, it is not going to work. It's going to start cussing at you, and so will Mr. Lyons. So we're going to just drag this in right there and drop it. And now we have our player controller right on there. I forgot to rename this thing player, so I'm going to do that now. Cool. All right, so let's double check that I did all the things. We renamed the player, we rotated on the axis, we gave it the rigid body, we did the box collider, and we added the script and attached it to the player. All right, let's make the player jump. So we're going to open up the player controller script. It's going to come up on the wrong monitor, of course. There we go. All right, now this is something I'm seeing a lot of. I'm not going to tell you guys that. We'll just start putting it in. Okay, it says declare a new private variable called player RB. So right here, we're going to add in a little space before the start function. And we're going to type in private rigid body. And it's going to be called, how about we spell rigid correctly? Rigid body. And it's going to be called player RB. Boom. Done. Okay. Next, we're going to, in the start button, we're going to type in player RB equals get component caret, open caret, rigid body, close caret, parentheses. Okay. So now that we have the rigid body component, we can modify it. We can modify it by doing this. Rigid body dot add force vector 3 dot up times 1,000. Now I know it says 1,000, but I'm only going to put 100 because 100 is plenty. Okay, cool. Save. Close this up. Test out our game. We should see our guy fly off of... Oh! We don't see our guy. Let's click on our camera. Our guy is not in the camera. Come on, my guy. So I'm going to grab my player, and I'm going to move him over just a little bit so he's in the scene. Now when I click on my camera, I can see him. Now let's press play. Oh, he didn't jump. What did I do wrong? Let's check it out. That all looks good. Let's put it to 1,000. Double check that. Save, close. There we go. Does it come back down? Yes, it does. Cool. Moving on. All right, making the player jump if the space bar is pressed. We don't want the player to be just jumping whenever. We want him to tell him when to jump. So we're going to add an if statement into the update function. We're just going to copy and paste this bottom one and change it around just a little bit. Double click this guy right here. Add an if statement here. So it'll be if input dot get key down, and then which key? Key code dot space. So the space bar. If the user presses the space bar, then we're going to ride this function out right here. Okay, I'm going to change this one down to 10 now. Also, we're going to do this. We're going to do force mode dot impulse. Impulse. Spell that right? Yeah. Cool. Save. Cool. Yes, Edwin, what's up? Which one did I spell wrong? You got to spell it right. Good catch. Good catch. That's why we keep you guys around. There we go. Smart. Okay, let's try that. Oh, God, please work. Boom! Thanks, Edwin. Cool, so we're jumping. Okay, moving on to step 5. We're going to tweak the jump force and the gravity. Actually, you can see right now that you can double jump. That's a problem we're going to fix. Okay, so tweak the jump force and the gravity. We need to give the player a perfect jump by tweaking the jump force, the force of the jump, and the gravity in the scene, and the mass of the character. Okay, so we're going to load this guy back up. Replace the hard-coded value with a new public float jump force. So we're going to go public float jump force. Okay. This one is going to be that. Cool. Then we're going to also add a gravity modifier. That's going to be public float gravity modifier. Cool. And the gravity modifier is going to go right in here. Physics.gravity equals, I always think of John Mayer when this is coming out, gravity modifier. Whoops. Cool. All right, so we're good on that one. Did I do anything else? The students, a new function, the students about something. What? Don't make the gravity too high. Okay, so here's a part a number of kids kind of get confused on. Once I put this in, now when you go over to your player, you'll have these variables that you have to identify. So we're going to put that in as 10 and 1. Okay, you guys can adjust this to be however you want, however you think your game is going to make the most sense. Okay, so that's about where it was before. But if I change these around, so if I make it like 5 and 1, it just means that he'll be able to jump less. Or if I make the gravity modifier 0.6 and 5, it kind of goes up a little bit slower. Let's put this back up to 10. Now he's going to be on the moon. Woo! It's too much, kids. Okay, we'll roll with that for now. Prevent the player from double jumping. Okay, so this part's pretty easy actually, as long as you type in everything exactly how they have it right here. If you don't, it gets hectic. Okay, so we're gonna make a new variable called public boolean. It's a boolean. And it's going to be called is on ground. Okay. So initially we're going to set it to true, that he is on the ground when the game starts. Then, after he jumps, when he's in the air, we're going to set it to false. So we're going to say is on ground equals false. Because when he's, after you've pressed the space bar, he's most likely in the air. Then we need to add a function down here underneath the update function that's going to put him back on the ground, or that's going to check when he's back on the ground. And this is a private function that's called on collision enter. Okay, this is a special one. Just like update and start are special functions, this one checks as if the object that this script is attached to is touching something else. Collision. Okay. And if he is, then we're going to go is on ground is set back to true. Last thing we got to do is we got to add that double condition in here so it'll check. So we hit 2 ands, and then we put is on ground. Save. Okay, we'll see if I typed that all correct. Close that up. Play. Okay, and you can actually see what's happening by clicking on the player. And you're going to check this is on ground box right here. Watch what happens. If I press play, box is still checked because he's on the ground. When I jump, it goes to false, and then as soon as I hit the ground, it gets checked again. And because in our condition, not only do we check if the space bar is being pressed, but also if the variable is on ground is true, it will not allow the double jump. That's how it works. Kind of a little trick. Next, we're going to go make an obstacle and make it move left. Okay, man, they put you guys through a lot of work in this one. So what do we do? From the course library, we're going to choose obstacles. Let's go with the rock. I'm going to drag it up here onto the hierarchy and move it over and then move it up a little bit. Wow, that's a big obstacle. Okay, rename it obstacle. Obstacle. After the obstacle, you can position it where you want it, where it should spawn. Well, just put it there for now. Okay. Now, apply a rigid body and a box collider to the obstacle. So we're going to hit this one, box collider, and rigid body. Okay, I'm going to just change the order so that they are the way they told me to put them in. Cancel. Maybe I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, we're not going to worry about it. Okay, now we're going to create a new prefabs folder and drag that into the original prefabs folder. Cool. Is that right? Create a new move left script, apply it to the obstacle, and then open it. No, let's make the script first. Scripts. New script, and we're going to call this one move left, no spaces. We're going to put this one on the obstacle. Now we're going to come back over and do the prefabs first. I like to do it that way because that way the prefab will already have the script on it. create a new folder. It's going to be called prefabs. We're going to drag our obstacle in there. It's going to ask us, I'm going to say original. Cool. For the script, all we have to do is move left, public float, private, my bad, private float, speed, and that's going to equal 30. Okay, and then in the update, we're going to put in transform dot translate vector 3 left times time dot delta time times that speed variable we just set up. Cool. Save that, close that up. Oh, so far so good, no errors. We're gonna press play. Whoa, I would say that moved pretty fast. Let's play that again with a slower speed. Let's go down to 10. Okay. I'm not sure why that goes so fast. Yeah, there we go. Cool. All right, we're going to create the spawn manager. Similar to the last object, we need to create an empty object spawn manager that will, or last project, we'll create an empty spawn manager that will instantiate the obstacle prefab. So we're going to right click and choose an empty, and we're going to call it spawn manager. Spawn manager. Okay, and then we're going to apply a new spawn manager script to it. So we're going to create a new script. It's going to be called spawn manager with no space. There we go. Open this one up. In the spawn manager, we are going to start off with a new public variable. Public game object. It is called obstacle prefab. Cool. Then assign the obstacle prefab in the inspector. So we should be able to just save that. Come back over here. Click on this one. Oh, I didn't put that on there. There we go. And here's our obstacle prefab. So I'm going to come over here to my prefabs, grab my obstacle, and put it in there. That's what they're asking you to do. Cool. Declare a new private variable, private vector 3 spawn position. So we're going to go back into our script. Spawn manager. Up here under the variables, we're going to do private vector 3. And it's going to be called spawn position. It's going to be equal to a new vector 3, which is 25. 25. I don't know if this is correct. We're going to see. 25, 25, 0. Okay. Then under the start, we're going to instantiate the new obstacle. So we're going to instantiate obstacle prefab, spawn position, obstacle prefab dot transform dot rotation. Cool. That should be it. We'll see if that works. There's one. Yeah, it did work. Cool. So far, so good. I don't think that position is the exact right position. Let's change that around a little bit. So if I put my obstacle from the prefabs folder back in there, and I move it back over here to about where I want it to spawn, which is there we go. Let's get this one at 2 then. So my numbers are actually going to be 40, 2, and -1. So I'm going to change that around. Yours may be different, but this is how you do it. You just find out where you want it to be. 40, 2, whoops. 2, -1. 2 and -1. Cool. Save. Close. Let's check that again. Boop, boop, boom. There they go. Cool. So it's working. Next, we're going to add in our intervals. Okay, so we're going to come back over here to script. We're going to create a new function at the very end. It's going to be called void spawn obstacles. Okay. And then move the instantiate inside of it. So this part right here is going to come. This part is going to come down here and go inside of our instantiation right there like that. Move this around a little bit so I can get that. There we go. Cool. Better. Okay. Now we need a couple new variables just to time out our invoke repeating. So private float start delay is going to be 2 seconds, and then private float repeat rate is going to equal 2. Then we're going to invoke our repeating right here. Invoke repeating. Okay, and that's going to be the same as this. So I'm just going to copy that out of there and paste it right there. And then we're going to type in start delay, and we're going to put in repeat rate. Save. Play. I think I need to make my guy jump a little higher. Let's go. Let's go, player. Thought you guys knew. That's it. That's it for 3.1. Man, that was a hard one. We did all of this stuff. We did like 9,000 steps, and you guys were quiet the entire time. 2 points extra credit for every kid in this class right now. Clap it up for us right now. You made it.